to another edition of the Student Fire Podcast, live from the Speak Fire studio. My name is Bobby Berg. I'm a motivational speaker for schools, and I am here to help you live your best life today. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Student Fire Podcast, live from the Speak Fire studio. I'm your host, Bobby Berg, and y'all, I'm so thankful for each and every single one of you that tunes in every week. I appreciate you. I hope you had a wonderful week last week. I hope your weekend was great. And I hope that you're ready to just start this week off on a great note. So let's take a couple seconds. I want you to really be in touch with where you're feeling. Be it good, bad, indifferent, however it is. I want you to be honest with yourself with how you're feeling for the next couple seconds. 3, 2, 1. Good. See, that wasn't all that bad. And now, especially for those of you checking this out at 4 in the morning, you started your day off a lot more positive and a lot more honest than most people go through their entire day. So, today we're going to finish off our learning style part 2s, and we're going to go over reading and writing learners. Now, what are those? Those are your learners that are pretty self-explanatory. They're your learners that learn best by understanding. They learn best by with having their nose right in a book. As fun as it is for a lot of us visual learners and the auditory learners to be listening to everything, for these learners, it's easiest to have the text right in front of you. Now, the reading portion, I don't really need to go over. I took a poll, and a lot of you had stated that for this episode, you didn't really want me to go over reading tips because I'm not a particularly fast reader. Reading is not really one of my strong suits, and I'm not going to lie to you and try and say, oh, well, I found this on Google. Listen, any of you can Google whatever you'd like to figure this out. You're incredibly intelligent people. If you want some reading tips or some strategies on how to become a more efficient, faster reader, I'm sure you'll be able to figure this out. If you want help, reach out to me, but a lot of you said you weren't interested in this in that being included in this episode. So after this 30-second long introduction, here we are. So let's get to the writing section. When you're in class, I need you to take a copious amount of notes. I need you to be taking notes on every single thing that gets said in class. Now, a lot of teachers will say notes are supposed to be things that you can look back on, that you can quickly reference. For my reading and writing learners, it is not true in that same sense. You will function better. You will understand better. You will be able to recall the information better if you write down every bit of important information. Especially those things where your teacher goes, oh, this isn't really important, but here's a little fun tidbit. For a lot of you, that's what you're going to remember. So you need to write everything down. Tip 2. When you get home that evening, write your notes out again. Now I know this sounds frustrating because a lot of people don't want to do this. But hear me out here. If you know that your strength is in writing, you know your strength is in reading, why would you not utilize your strengths even though it's going to take you a little bit longer? Right? When you get math problems, what do? You have to go home and do practice problems so that you can better understand the information. You're going to rewrite your notes for the same exact reason. I was really skeptical of this at first, but the second I started doing it, y'all, my retention of information skyrocketed. Let's go on to tip number 3. I want you to keep track of every single handout that you get in that class. I don't care if it's one piece of paper. I don't care if your teacher basically gives you the entire book. You need to keep track of your handouts, and you need to refer to these handouts every time you go to study. Every time you go to study, before you start hopping into your notes, going over the information that you know you've already done, you know what the information is, especially if you rewrote your notes already, you need to look at the handouts first. Because these handouts are going to kind of kick your brain into hyperdrive so you can just really focus on, okay, here's exactly what we're going over. Here's a quick overview. Your brain's already primed to learn what you're going to learn. And then you can really start retaining the information. Tip number 4. We talked about this with our visual learners, and we talk about this a little bit with our kinesthetic learners. But I want you to outline your notes. Why? Because although you are a, reading and writing learner, you probably have traits of the other 3 learning styles. But here's where this one gets funky. I don't want you to just outline your notes. I want you to bullet point your notes. Why? Because visually it might be a little chaotic. It might be a little excessive for you if the outline isn't laid out in a way that really makes sense for you. Bullet points? You can make an open bullet as the main header and a filled in bullet as the important information and just do it left and right like that. I used to do that all the time in high school, especially during my biology class. That's all we did. Those were my notes for the entire binder that I had. Bullet pointing your notes makes it more visually appealing. If you bullet point your notes, it makes it so that it's less all over the place, and they might look a little more chaotic when you're looking at them on paper, but when you actually get into the meat of it and you start reading what you've written, and especially reading what you've written twice now, it's going to make a lot more sense. And lastly, whenever you are looking at your textbook and you're finding diagrams, you're seeing charts, you're seeing maps, you're seeing whatever, I want you to write these out, not draw them. You can draw them if you want. That's up to your learning. That's up to your unique learning style. What I want you to do is write out the pictures and diagrams that you see. When you do this, you're really going to start to understand how you can recall your information. See, what's going to happen is you're going to come to this test or the quiz or whatever, and you're going to get stuck. For my auditory learners, I gave them some tips on how to do recall. I gave some tips for the visual learners and the kinesthetic learners. For the reading and writing learners, when you write out what these diagrams were in your book, guess what you can do on the side of your paper, on the quiz, or on the back of the paper? You can actually write out what you saw in your drawing, right? You can write out what this picture said, what this graph was, what this diagram was, so then you can recall it easier, right? Because you've already done this. The biggest thing with reading and writing learners is this: it's very labor intensive. It takes a lot of work. It's just time consuming. But what a lot of people overlook with that is you might have to rewrite your notes 3 or 4 times. Fine. When it comes time to actually take the test, you're going to be able to go, oh, duh. Yeah, I've already written this out like 6 or 7 times now. All I have to do is keep writing. Oh, I'm stuck. What's the topic here? Oh, here's the topic. And you just start letting your hand go. And all of a sudden, you're going to be writing exactly what you've already written. And you're going to be able to recall the information instantly. And that is going to make the quiz and the exams and the tests so much easier for you. So y'all, just to do a quick recap, take a lot of notes, rewrite them when you get home as homework, keep track of your handouts and refer to them before you go to study. Bullet point your notes in whatever outline format makes sense for you. And lastly, write out your pictures and diagrams in Word format so that you can recall them quicker. Y'all, thank you so much for checking this out. I appreciate you so much. And I'm going to be honest with you, this was a different episode to write for me because I've just, when I've been filming these episodes, I've been doing it in the style of learning that is applicable for every learning style, or for the learning style that I'm talking about. And I'm not a very strong reading and writing learner, so this was different. This is a little bit out of my wheelhouse. I appreciate all of you for sticking around to the end. I hope you have a wonderful week. I really do. Here's your homework for the week. I want you to really take this week to dial into your learning style, whatever it is. And this doesn't have to be with school. This can be with any subject that you're learning, any hobby that you have, whatever it is for you. I want you to really get into that learning style and utilize it and get comfortable with it. And let me know how things go. Everyone that's been reaching out on TikTok, I appreciate you. Everyone that's been reaching out on Instagram, I appreciate you, because it's been very helpful to notice that what I'm doing is helping someone. Again, all y'all that have been here since day one, you know that Student Fire is about helping students. That's all we're here to do. We're here to make your educational life as amazing as possible, and letting me know that this is working gives me the motivation to keep going, and I appreciate you all so much. Hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you have a great day. Whatever day you're checking this out on, you are loved, you are important, you are powerful, you matter, and I hope that someone can make you feel as amazing today as I know you are. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.
I got you.
It's coming. Are you ready to ignite the fire?
We are Speak Fire.
Oh, and by the way, that's fire with a Y.
What's going on, everyone?
Internal fire.
Student Fire.
Young fire. Father's fire.
Leadership fire.
Champion fire.
Unlocking the fire within.
Thank you all for tuning in. Let's grow.
Speak fire.
Speakfire.com.
Speak fire with a Y. We have a new episode that comes out every Monday at 4 a.m. Are you going to be up with us?
Deuces.
I am excited to bring you my new book, Trendsetter, 7 Steps to Radically Stand Out to Be the Best You. This book details my journey of coming to the United States and being excited to embrace the American culture. But unfortunately, my culture was not accepted, and I found myself being bullied as a young girl. And in this process, I decided that I wanted to disconnect from my culture to be more accepted into American culture. And through that process, I got so depressed from trying to fit in that I attempted suicide my freshman year in high school. So this book talks about the journey of what I did to become radically transformed, to be the strong woman I am today. This book is something that's really going to enable the reader to understand and embrace who they are, embrace what makes them special, and become radically transformed. Get your copy today at becomingatrendsetter.com. Again, that is becomingatrendsetter.com, or check it out at my website at aishathomas.org.